In the shadowed ruins of an ancient Scottish castle, where mist clings to crumbling stones like the ghosts of forgotten vows, a lone hiker stumbles upon a sealed letter hidden beneath a weathered flagstone, its wax seal cracked but bearing the emblem of a crossed sword and rose, whispering secrets that could unravel the threads of history itself. What if one broken promise echoed through centuries, cursing lovers and lands alike, and now, in your hands, holds the power to break the chain or forge it anew? As the wind howled through the battlements of Castle Dunraven in the year 1745, amidst the Jacobite uprising that tore the Highlands asunder with the clash of claymores and the thunder of English cannons, young Laird Ewan MacAllister stood on the parapet, his tartan cloak billowing like a banner of defiance, gazing down at the glen where bonny Fiona Campbell, his childhood sweetheart from the rival clan, awaited him in secret, her auburn hair catching the last rays of a blood-red sunset that foretold the storms to come. Ewan, heir to a lineage of warriors who had defended their land since the days of Robert the Bruce, had sworn an oath to Fiona under the ancient oak tree that marked the boundary between their clans, a promise etched in the bark with his dirk: "I shall wed thee, my love, and unite our peoples, come hell or high water, for no king nor kin shall sunder us," words spoken in the fervor of youth, when the world seemed conquerable and love an unbreakable shield against the encroaching shadows of war. Fiona, daughter of the stern chieftain Campbell, whose family had long feuded with the MacAllisters over grazing rights and ancient slights dating back to the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, where a Campbell ancestor had allegedly betrayed a MacAllister ally to Edward II's forces, believed in Ewan's vow with the purity of a Highland stream, her emerald eyes reflecting the locks that mirrored the skies, and she had gifted him a silver locket engraved with a thistle, symbol of Scotland's enduring spirit, containing a lock of her hair as a talisman against the perils ahead. But as the Jacobite forces rallied under bonny Prince Charlie, whose charismatic call to arms swept through the clans like wildfire, Ewan found himself torn between loyalty to his promise and the seductive pull of glory. Whispers from his advisors, grizzled veterans of past skirmishes, urged him to ally with the English crown for promises of land and title, arguing that the Stuart cause was doomed, a romantic folly that would drown the Highlands in blood, and Ewan, haunted by the memory of his father's death at the hands of rival clans during a raid in 1720, began to waver, his nights filled with dreams of Fiona's tear-streaked face intermingled with visions of his castle ablaze. The turning point came on a fog-shrouded morn when an English emissary, Sir Reginald Hawthorne, arrived under a flag of truce, his red coat a stark contrast to the earthy tones of the Scottish landscape, bearing a missive from King George II himself: offer Ewan a baronetcy and vast estates in the lowlands if he betrayed the Jacobites by revealing their supply routes through the glens. A betrayal that would cripple the uprising before it reached Culloden Moor. Ewan paced the great hall, where tapestries depicted heroic deeds of his forebears, from the wars of Scottish independence to the more recent glorious revolution of 1688 that had exiled the Stuarts, and in his heart, the promise to Fiona clashed with the pragmatic allure of security for his people, who had suffered famine and raids for generations. Fiona, sensing his turmoil through clandestine messages carried by a trusted shepherd boy, slipped away from her father's watchful eye one stormy night, crossing the treacherous moorlands where legends spoke of kelpies lurking in the bogs, her cloak sodden and her resolve unyielding, arriving at the castle's postern gate where Ewan met her in the pouring rain, his face etched with conflict as he pulled her into an embrace that smelled of peat smoke and heather. "My love," she whispered against his chest, her voice a melody that had soothed him since they were bairns playing in the meadows, "hold fast to our oath, for without it, what are we but leaves scattered by the wind?" Ewan's hands trembled as he held the locket, feeling the weight of history pressing upon him. The MacAllisters had once been king's makers, aiding William Wallace in his guerrilla campaigns against the English in the late 13th century, but now, in this age of enlightenment shadowed by absolutism, survival demanded cunning over honor. He kissed her fiercely, promising once more to stand by her. But as she departed into the night, a seed of doubt took root, watered by Hawthorne's golden promises and the fear of seeing his clan annihilated like so many others in the brutal suppressions following the 1715 Rising. Days blurred into weeks as the Jacobite army marched south, their pipes skirling defiance, and Ewan, under the guise of reconnaissance, met Hawthorne in a secluded bothy, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and conspiracy. there, with a heavy heart that echoed the thunder outside, he divulged the hidden paths, sketching maps on parchment that would lead English dragoons to ambush the supply trains, sealing the fate of countless Highlanders who dreamed of a restored Stuart throne. The betrayal rippled outward like stones cast into a loch. At the Battle of Culloden on April 16, 1746, the Jacobites were slaughtered in a massacre that turned the moor into a charnel house, the cries of the wounded mingling with the ravens' calls, and among the fallen was Fiona's brother, MacAllister, a brave lad who had fought with the ferocity of a Highland bull, his death a direct consequence of the compromised routes that left the rebels starved and outmaneuvered. Word of Ewan's treachery spread like plague, carried by survivors who limped back to their crofts, and Fiona, upon hearing it from a dying clansman who clutched a bloodied giant dub, felt her world shatter like fragile crystal. She confronted Ewan at the oak tree, now scarred by lightning as if the gods themselves decried the broken vow, her face pale as the moon, eyes blazing with a fury born of love turned to ash. Ye swore on our blood, Ewan. On the souls of our ancestors who bled at Stirling Bridge and Falkirk, she cried, her voice breaking the silence of the glen, where deer paused in their grazing as if witnessing a tragedy foretold in ancient ballads. Ewan, ridden with guilt that gnawed at him like a Highland winter, fell to his knees, the locket slipping from his fingers into the mud, but his words of remorse were drowned by her sobs, and in that moment, she cursed him, not with spells of old folklore, but with the raw power of a heart betrayed. May this promise echo through time, binding ye and yours to sorrow until a true heart mends what ye've broken. As the English consolidated their victory, enacting the Highland clearances that would evict thousands from their ancestral lands in the coming decades, forcing migrations to the New World and leaving glens empty save for sheep and ruins, Ewan ascended to his promised baronetcy, marrying a lowland heiress for alliance, but his nights were haunted by visions of Fiona, who vanished into the mists. Some saying she took her own life by the loch, others whispering she became a wandering spirit, her lament carried on the wind. Generations passed, the castle falling into disrepair as the Industrial Revolution transformed Scotland, steam engines chugging where once horses galloped, and the MacAllister line dwindled, plagued by misfortunes, sons lost at sea during the Napoleonic Wars of 1803 to 1815, daughters barren, fortune squandered in the economic crashes of the 19th century, each heir finding a faded letter or hearing whispers in the halls, echoes of that broken promise manifesting as ill luck and unfulfilled loves. By the Victorian era, when Queen Victoria romanticized the Highlands in her journals, turning them into a playground for the elite, a descendant, Lord Archibald MacAllister, uncovered old diaries in the castle's library, pages yellowed like autumn leaves, detailing Ewan's betrayal and Fiona's curse, and he, a scholar of folklore who had studied the works of Sir Walter Scott, felt a chill as he read, for his own betrothal to Lady Eliza Harrington was faltering amid rumors of his infidelity. Mirroring the ancient rift, Archibald sought out Campbell descendants in the bustling streets of Edinburgh, where gas lamps flickered like wary eyes, and found an elderly woman claiming lineage from Fiona, who handed him a matching locket, its thistle engraving tarnished but intact, whispering that only by reuniting the clans in truth could the echo cease. Suspense built as Archibald journeyed back to Dunraven during a fierce blizzard, the snow blanketing the landscape like a shroud, his carriage wheels crunching over frozen paths that evoked the marches of old armies, and in the great hall, lit by flickering candles that cast elongated shadows reminiscent of battling swordsmen, he confronted his own demons, burning the treacherous maps in the hearth as a symbolic atonement. But a sudden gale extinguished the flames, and he heard a woman's voice. Ethereal and sorrowful, singing a Gaelic lament that spoke of lost love and unbroken chains. The narrative deepened with historical layers as Archibald delved into archives, uncovering links to broader events. The promises break not just personal but emblematic of Scotland's fractured identity post-Union of 1707, where clans were pitted against each other by external powers, leading to cultural erosion and the diaspora that populated colonies from Canada to Australia. He realized the echo extended beyond his family, influencing pivotal moments, like a MacAllister officer's hesitation at Waterloo in 1815, costing lives, or a Campbell emigrant's role in the American Civil War, fighting for union against division, themes that resonated with the original Vows' intent to unite. In a climactic twist, Archibald invited the Campbell heir, a fiery lass named Moira, to the castle under pretense of historical reconciliation, her resemblance to Fiona uncanny, with the same auburn locks and emerald gaze, and as they stood beneath the oak tree, now a gnarled sentinel scarred by centuries, a storm brewed, lightning illuminating forgotten carvings, Moira, aware of the legend through family tales passed down like heirlooms, challenged Archibald to prove his sincerity, and in a moment of raw vulnerability, he confessed his lineage's sins, offering the locket as restitution. But suspense peaked when a hidden compartment in the locket revealed a faded note from Fiona herself, written in her dying hand after she had fled to a nunnery rather than end her life, forgiving Ewan but binding the curse until love, not ambition, prevailed. As thunder roared, Archibald and Moira shared a kiss that bridged eras, the wind dying to a whisper, and the curse seemed to lift, flowers blooming unnaturally around the tree in midwinter, symbolizing renewal. Yet the echoes lingered subtly, for in the 20th century, during World War I, a MacAllister soldier in the trenches of Flanders heard Fiona's lament amid the artillery barrage, inspiring him to save a Campbell comrade, forging bonds in the mud of no man's land that echoed the original promise. And in World War II, as bombs fell on Britain, descendants collaborated in the resistance, their united front against fascism a testament to mended vows. Fast forward to the present, where our hiker, revealed as a modern MacAllister descendant named Ian, unseals the letter in the ruins, its contents a final missive from Archibald, detailing the saga and urging the finder to seek out the last Campbell, a historian named Fiona, yes, named after the original, in a nearby village, where ancient grudges have faded but memories persist in folklore festivals and Highland games. Ian, a skeptic shaped by the digital age, where promises are as fleeting as social media posts, feels an inexplicable pull, trekking through the mist to find her restoring artifacts in a cozy museum, her eyes meeting his with recognition that transcends time. As they piece together the puzzle, sharing stories over whiskey by a peat fire, the narrative circles back, revealing that the broken promises echoes had shaped global events subtly, the Jacobite failure leading to stronger British Empire, influencing the American Revolution where Highland emigrants fought on both sides, their divided loyalties a microcosm of the original betrayal. Suspense builds anew as Ian and Fiona uncover a hidden chamber in the castle, accessed by aligning the lockets, revealing treasures looted during the clearances, gold, jewels, and documents proving land rights that could restore fortunes to displaced descendants worldwide, but guarded by what seems a spectral presence, whispers urging them to honor the unity or face recurrence. In a heart-pounding sequence, as shadows dance like warring clansmen, they pledge to use the wealth for reconciliation projects, funding museums and scholarships that bridge historical divides, and the presence fades, leaving peace. The story culminates in their wedding under the oak tree, clansfolk from around the globe attending, bagpipes playing tunes from 1745, symbolizing the promise fulfilled at last, but with a lingering note, echoes never truly die, they evolve, reminding us that every vow carries the weight of history, and in breaking one, we risk chaining the future to the past's regrets. As the sun sets on Dunraven, casting golden hues over the glen, Ian and Fiona walk hand in hand, the wind carrying not laments but songs of hope, a testament to love's enduring power against the tides of time, wars, and human frailty, leaving the listener pondering their own promises, broken or kept, and the ripples they cast unseen.